Good evening and welcome to the F1Stop show. I'm your host Sam Ernie, and with me is Wes Spearman. Wes, how are you this evening?
Yeah, pretty good. Thanks. It's been a while. I've got a couple of Grand Prix to get through, and one coming up pretty soon as well. But yeah, been treated to some decent weather and some decent racing the last few weeks. But yeah, I'm pretty good. Thanks. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Like you said, you know, last few couple Grand Prix, and well, we've even got a home race this weekend in Silverstone. Well, before we jump to Silverstone, let's talk briefly on Canada. So let's rewind what happened in Canada, what, a couple of weeks ago. And Max Verstappen for Red Bull got his, what, which was his fourth win in a row at the time. So just, it's becoming a regular thing for Verstappen. And yeah,
Yeah, again, I know we say it all too often now with Verstappen, don't we? But dominant again, yet again, pretty much throughout this whole season. The way it just has been. I mean, looking at the standings right now, I mean, no one holds a candle to Verstappen and Red Bull at the moment. Um, he's what, 81 points clear, if my maths is correct, of Sergio Perez. We keep thinking Ferraris are we gonna have a championship battle between Verstappen and Leclerc? Ferraris are nowhere this season, let's be honest. Sainz and Leclerc currently fifth and sixth on points at the moment after Austria. And yeah, Verstappen has just been in another league altogether this season. As you say, Canada was his fourth race win in a row. I'm just trying to figure out how many he's won in total this year. Pretty much all but
I think, I think
two.
as of
Perez
now,
has won
yeah,
two. Verstappen's won all the others, and we've got round 11 coming up this coming weekend in the UK at Silverstone. So
mm,
yeah, Verstappen 8 out of 10 races this season is yeah, is quite something. And as you mentioned as well, 100th race win for Red Bull, momentous occasion for the team, given they've not really been in F1 all that long. If you think about it, really, they started in 2005, I think, and they got the first race win for a good few years. It was Webber and Coulthard to start with, and obviously Webber and Vettel uh, in Red Bull sort of golden years, if you like, 10 to 14, 10 to 13. And now, yeah, back dominating the sport once again.
yeah, and Fernando Alonso as well got second place for Aston Martin. He's had a decent start to the season so far. I think just getting that race win will just, you know, be the cherry on top for him. And also Hamilton in the Mercedes. We all know that Mercedes aren't doing too well this season, but Hamilton got back to back podiums. So how do you feel about that? I'm very happy for him. Very happy.
Yeah, it's just nice to see someone other than than a Red Bull on the podium as well. Yeah, as you say, back to back podiums in Spain and Canada. Spanish Grand Prix on the podium with Russell as well, who has had a bit of a quiet season, not doing as well as last year, seventh or joint sixth rather in the drivers' standings with Leclerc at the moment, 72 points. But yeah, Mercedes, they're sort of challenging Aston Martin, which sounds quite weird to say. They're challenging Aston Martin for second place in the constructors at the moment, but yeah, Mercedes. I mean, they didn't have a great weekend in Austria, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, Hamilton on the podium when his car isn't certainly isn't as good as it has been over 2 years ago. It was great to see Hamilton on the podium and Mercedes on the podium, given their struggles over the last couple of years. Um, yeah, just fingers crossed they can get some more and hopefully challenge for race wins again.
Yeah, indeed. I hope I hope Mercedes win a race this season, even if it's just one. Whether it will come at Silverstone or maybe in a street circuit, who knows? But I think there's still time. There's still time. Not that Verstappen will be taking all the race wins this season, but who knows? Anyway, so we're finished at Canada and now Austria. We just had Austria this weekend. Well, last weekend, just gone, and it was quite a good race. Oh, how would you rate Canada? Sorry, yeah, how would you rate Canada
Um,
out of 10?
Probably a 3 out of 10. Not a lot happened. Don't really remember much from it. I mean, most of my race notes are just when people pitted. Um, can't really remember any battles, to be honest. Yeah, 3 out of 10.
Okay, so I agree with you on that one. 3 out of 10. There wasn't really much. So right, Austria then, Austria race, and I'd say it was quite entertaining. This one had again the weather came into play. Now I've noticed that over the past few races, the weather has kind of, dictated whether who wins, who loses, which tires are the best, slicks, intermediates, or all out wets. So yeah, it's been quite a fun season if you're part of the weather forecast. But yeah, Austria, great race. What do you make of it?
Yeah, probably one of the better races this season, if not the best, I think. Plenty of action in there, considering last year and or the year before. So there was a year where we had, it might have been 2021 now, come to think of it, where Verstappen just lost both races, and no one could hold a candle to him. So yeah, it was nice to see Austria throw up some good entertainment. Plenty of battles throughout the grid. There was actually a battle for the lead of the race. We haven't had that too often this season. You had Perez siving his way through the pack, coming up from I think 15th. He started. Um, you had the two Ferraris actually in the fold for once this season. You had Norris up in the top five as well. I think at one point you had Hamilton in
Yeah,
there. It was lots. I think there was a four-way battle for P11 as well at one point. Yeah, P11 not for points, but it's still entertainment, which is what we want to see. Um, I think my favourite moment was well, there's a couple of mentions actually. My first one would be the battle for the lead between Verstappen and Leclerc. I think
oh
Verstappen
yeah,
took the lead. I think he pitted lap 25, got jumped by Leclerc, and then pretty much overtook him the lap later. But Leclerc eventually got that lead back. And Verstappen overtook him later on in the race, about 10 laps later, I think, um, into turn three, the sort of hairpin. And what Verstappen is, I mean, you probably think, oh, let's get this overtake done and dusted as soon as possible. But going into turn three, he sort of eased off, he backed off a little bit so he could get DRS down the back straight. And I just think that is absolutely masterful from Verstappen because I mean, Perez tried to
my
do it later
favorite
against
moment.
Sainz, I think. But Perez made the mistake of being ahead into that DRS detection zone going into turn
Yeah,
three. So then on the back straight, Sainz just opened it up the DRS and retook the place back in what was a fantastic 2-3 lap battle between Sainz and Perez. Um, which leads me into my second favorite move, which is that battle between Sainz and Perez. Maybe if Perez had the sort of the nous, the racecraft of Verstappen, he could have got the move done on the first attempt. But the way Sainz came back at him, about what lap 59, 60, 61, I think it was. The way those two just fought at it for those 3 laps was, yeah, probably my favorite moment of the race for me.
indeed. Yeah, same here. Um, just seeing Sainz and Perez just go at it, it was just lovely to watch, and that's what we want to see. Um, and hopefully we get more of that. This weekend. Sorry, this weekend in Silverstone, and you know, in more races to come. Um, I think yeah. So how would you rate Austria then? Because there were some moments, like you said, Perez, Sainz, Leclerc versus Verstappen.
Yeah, I think as I said earlier, I think it's one of the better races, if not the best race of the season so far. Um, I can't really remember too many standout points from other races. But I think I'm going to give this one an 8. It was pretty good. You had, as I say, battle for the race lead, battle for pretty much all the way throughout the top five, really. Few battles down um, the sort of lower half of the field as well, which I think is just what makes the race great. I think we mentioned last week or the week before what makes a good race, and it is those battles up and down the grid. And we saw a few of those Austria, but maybe not as many that would give that would make me rate Austria a 10. But lots of battle for the race lead, battles in the top five, and pretty good entertainment all round. So yeah, 8 out of 10.
I couldn't agree with you any more than that because I mean 8 out of 10 for a race like that, especially when the weather came into play during the opening weekend. So it was just great to see. And as you said, like a couple of weeks ago, what makes a great race? You just want to see, overtakes, on track battles with two, three cars. The thing about Austria is that it's a small circuit, and yet you're seeing like three cars all battling for one position. And bearing in mind, the track is not very big. I think it's the shortest circuit on the whole calendar.
I think so. Yeah. In terms of lap time, I think Monaco might be the shortest, but obviously Monaco's a lot slower speed than
Yeah,
somewhere like I think yeah, the lap times are only about like 1 minute 6, which in F1 is as you say, I think it's the quickest
yeah.
um lap time delta, whatever it's called, on
Mhm.
the calendar. Except from when they went to the Bahrain sort of outer circle, and it was like 56 seconds or so, or something stupid, something under a minute. Um, but yeah, as you say. Although one thing I will say about of the Austrian Grand Prix is the amount of penalties that drivers. There were so many drivers getting
Yeah, track
penalties
limits was
for
a big
track limits,
thing this
and
weekend.
yeah, I know we mentioned it probably a few years ago now, where Hamilton in Bahrain, I think 2021, I think it seems to go back to 2021,
Was it
where
40?
Hamilton, I think it was turn
Was it
four about
40
20 odd
times?
times
Yeah,
that he
or something like that.
exceeded track limits and didn't get a penalty. Yeah, I think Hamilton actually got a penalty, got a penalty this weekend in Austria. As I think Ocon got about 30 seconds of penalties as well. De Vries got one for pushing Magnussen off. So many drivers getting penalties for track limits, and you could say sort of why make the track bigger than it needs to be. Then obviously you got driver safety to come into it, but for me, I think if you're getting penalised for track limits, there's only one way to really sort that out, and that's to not exceed the track limits. That's the only way to not get yourself penalised. Um, yeah, nothing more to add to that, other than
I
yeah,
think,
a lot of penalties handed out that
yeah,
last weekend.
and I think with those penalties, I think I read on BBC Sport or Sky Sports saying that with the amount of penalties that the drivers got, I think in total, you know how lap times are deleted as well because of track limits. I think in total, I think 100 lap worths of like runs were deleted or something like that. And I was like, wow, 100 laps just gone because of track limits. That's like, and if you say a race lap is what a one a 1 minute 6, that's almost, oh gosh, my maths here. I'm not even gonna do that because my maths is not even great. But yeah, it's ridiculous. It's yeah, ridiculous. But Austria, great weekend, 8 out of 10. Probably probably the highest rating so far. I don't know about the others,
I
but
think it's the highest I've given out.
yeah. Um, but yeah, Austria, well done. Until and just lastly, Austria is staying on the calendar for I think another 5, 6 years.
I think so. Yeah, that's right. We've got the 2024 calendar now, which I know we've got the Silverstone to chat about, but if we've got any time at the end, yeah, chat about the 2024 calendar.
Well, just before we jump to Silverstone, but then yeah, as you said, the calendar was released like what, just over an hour ago or something like that.
Yeah,
So
this
why don't you
afternoon.
just run us through the calendar words and tell us what's so unique about this about next year's calendar?
I suppose that there's no real surprises as to this calendar. one thing that makes it pretty unique is I think it's the record 24 races in a year, which I think was supposed to happen this year, but I think there were still COVID problems or civil unrest in China, so that got dropped off, and obviously the flooding in Emilia Romagna, so that Grand Prix was called off as well. Um, yeah, obviously those two are it's pretty much the same as this year's calendar, essentially. So you got Bahrain. It all starts off on 29th of February with a Grand Prix on the 2nd of March in Bahrain before heading off to Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. Both of those races will be on a Saturday as opposed to Sunday because of the Islamic calendar. I think they've got Ramadan the day after or the week after the Jeddah Grand Prix. So that's why those two races are on a Saturday. Then we have Australia, round three. Japan moves up to round four to
Wow.
try and make things.
I mean,
Yeah,
really?
F1 are trying to make things a little bit more sustainable by sort of tying, sort of grouping geographically close
Mm,
tracks, if that makes sense.
mm,
So you've got
yeah.
Japan, then you go to China, which obviously makes sense. Then you go to Miami, which is a bit of an oddity. Then you go to Imola, Emilia Romagna, Monaco. Again, makes sense. Then you go to Canada, which is a bit of an odd one in there, especially when you got Spain the week after or a couple of weeks after. I think I read on BBC Sport that the Canadian Grand Prix officials refused to sort of move the date of their race to tie in with the Miami Grand Prix, so you had to have a sort of double header American leg. Um,
Yeah.
but they refused to do that, so Canada's in the middle of almost in the middle of the European tour, if you like.
Yeah.
So you've got Spain on the 23rd of June, Austria the week after on the 30th, Silverstone again the week after on the 7th of July, then a couple week break into Hungary, then Belgium. Then we have the summer break for 4 weeks. Then we go to Zandvoort in the Netherlands, Monza in Italy. Azerbaijan moved down the pecking order this year,
Mm,
presumably to make room for Japan in round four. Then you go to Singapore a week after, which is a bit of a stretch to go
is that
sort of
wait? So is that Azerbaijan and then Singapore?
Azerbaijan and then Singapore, yeah,
Wow, that's
within the space
that's
of
a journey.
a
That is
week
a
each.
journey. I must say, that's quite a
Yeah,
journey.
I think, yeah, Singapore. I suppose you could lump in with Japan and China nearer the start of the season, but obviously, typically Singapore's been more back half of the season, back third of the season. Then you go on your second tour of the Americas, if you like, to Circuit of the Americas, Mexico, Brazil, Las Vegas. On the calendar, I think this is the first race this season, isn't it, for Las Vegas? Then you finish off where you started pretty much in the Arabian Peninsula with Qatar, and of course the now traditional finishing point of Abu Dhabi. All wrapping up
Wow,
on the 8th of December. That feels like a long season. 2nd of March to the 8th of December.
wow, that is long. Um, any standout races for you there, or is it more of the same?
More of the same, I think. I'm not massively fussed about the racetracks. I mean, obviously we've still got to wait to see what sort of Las Vegas holds up this year. Yeah, I
Mm,
mean, I know I say I don't like a street city, but I do like Singapore for some reason. I don't really know why. Just because I
yeah,
think Singapore is more of a sort of physical test for the drivers, if you like. It's one of the longest Grand Prix. It almost always creeps into that 2 hour limit. Obviously, you got your sort of jewels in the crown, if you like, of Silverstone, Spa, Monza, Monaco, obviously, which yeah, I'm not too excited about, but this here to stay, really. Let's be honest.
mm,
But yeah, Japan. I'm intrigued. Always
yeah.
loved Japan, and
I would,
yeah,
yeah.
it's going to feel weird to have it a bit early on in the season, but
I was
again, it
gonna
makes
say
sense, and it makes sense to have it in with China in there. So yeah, hats off to F1 for trying to be more sustainable, sort of grouping races by location, which yeah they didn't really quite do this year. So fair play to them for taking on that feedback. I'm sure yeah teams and sort of backroom staff, if you like, will be quite pleased to know that yeah they don't have to. Besides the Canada one, which is the real oddball in there, I suppose. Maybe
mm,
Singapore as well. Um, yeah, hopefully some sort of more well deserved, not necessarily time off, but less miles on the jets, if you like.
Yeah. Um. So right, 2024 calendar, 24 races. That's that's a long one. But yeah, well, the British Grand Prix. um. What can I say? I think. All right. Let's start with your. What was your favorite moment of the British Grand Prix? What when someone says, "Oh look, the British Grand Prix," what comes to your mind?
Um, I mean, last year's was pretty decent. Um, Carlos Sainz's first race win. Obviously, the iconic through goes Hamilton commentary from Crofty when he had that freeway battle between Leclerc, I think it was Perez as well, and Hamilton going into our club corner. I think the last chicane on the track. I suppose looking further back, well, I say looking further back, 2021 again, Cops Corner incident,
Yeah.
and Hamilton coming back from 10-second penalty. I think he got Leclerc's engine problems that year as well. Um, yeah, I think I can't remember if it was Hamilton's first race win, but I think it was in 2008, where he won in the pouring rain. Can't quite remember if it was that year. That stands out as yeah, one of the more memorable British Grand Prix, especially considering British driver in his debut year of F4, second year in F1. Obviously, championship winning year that year as well. Um, yeah, those three for me anyway stand out the most.
Um. Yeah, I think Cops Corner stands out pretty well it because it raised a lot of like emotion amongst the fans. Everyone was talking about it, like who was at fault between Hamilton and Verstappen. Hamilton was, you know, I think driving on the outside, so closest to the apex, and Verstappen didn't give him enough room, and we all have that kind of stuff and all that. Again, like you said, the iconic "Through Goes Hamilton" commentary by Crofty. Um, I mean, at that point when he said that, I I genuinely thought that Hamilton was going to win the race. It's just a shame that he didn't. But hats off to Carlos Sainz though, first ever race in F1. That was great. Um, but yeah, the British Grand Prix this weekend. What are you expecting?
Yeah, and hopefully just a good race. Some battles, as we mentioned earlier, some battles up and down the field. And the British Grand Prix always tends to be, well, I think anyway, tends to be one of the more exciting races on the calendar. Um, and just looking back to recent years, as we mentioned, Science's first win last year, there was again when they doubled up, they had the British Grand Prix, and then I think it was the 70th anniversary race,
Yeah,
where I can't remember which one of those where Hamilton had a punch literally on the last lap with Verstappen hunting him down, and Hamilton just got over the line with about 5 seconds to spare or something. Um, yeah, Silverstone is pretty hard on the tyres. Got a lot of fast corners. Yeah, just some exciting racing. And be nice to see if someone can challenge Verstappen, especially if it's one of the Mercedes drivers, Hamilton or Russell, British drivers, and on your home Grand Prix. I'd like to see Norris do well as well. Obviously, another British driver. Um, Aston Martin again, British dream. It's their sort of home. They're based at Silverstone as well.
yeah.
So yeah, if Alonso can work his way into the top five, maybe a podium perhaps. I think that'd be brilliant as well. But yeah, just hopefully we get some more exciting racing like we saw in Austria last weekend.
We can't wait, and I have no doubt that you know Silverstone will produce something this weekend. The weather might play a role in the race. Who knows? We might get some rain. It might stay dry and sunny. You know, anything can happen. So just before we sign off, let's see. how do you see your qualifiers planning out? Instead of the top 10 qualifiers, let's go from P20 to P11, if you like.
Blimey.
I always feel that's the difficult one because
Yeah, that is the more difficult one.
because
Yeah, but yeah. I think if we do sort of top 10, certainly top five, they're pretty much all bankers, aren't you? You got Verstappen, you Perez.
yeah.
Um, then it's sort of a case of Mercedes and Ferrari, maybe Alonso in there as well. But I think P20, I'm going to go De Vries. He's just had a pretty poor season overall, let's be honest. I think was battling it out for P19 with Magnussen last weekend as well. So I'm going to go De Vries P19. I'm going to go P20 rather, Sargent P19. Haven't really seen much of him either this year. P18 Sonoda. I think AlphaTauri, they're
Oh,
not. I think they've got the
okay.
worst car on the grid. I don't think they've scored a point this year. Actually, no, they have. I tell a lie. Yeah, Sonoda's got a few points for them. Um, where am I up to now? P17, I think. Um,
I told you it's difficult.
yeah, I've lost count already. Um, I know Piastri hasn't had a racing, but I don't see him starting that low. Um, I need to remind myself of the drivers actually. Lower down in the grid. I've got the Haas as well and the Alfa Romeos. I'm going to go Magnussen next for P17, I think. Am I still P17? Um, Magnussen P17, Zhou 16, Piastri 15th,
Oh, okay.
um,
Well,
Albon 14th.
Albon ahead,
Uh,
Albon ahead of Piastri. Wow. Okay.
yeah,
If that
Yeah,
happens,
I
that
don't.
would
I
be.
don't think Piastri's had that great a season. Um,
Oh, okay.
just looking at the points, you got Piastri 5 points, Albon 7 points. Um, yeah, Piastri P14, P13. Have I said Hulkenberg?
No.
No, Hulkenberg P13. He can be the unlucky one in 13. P12 Bottas, P11 Gasly.
Hmm, okay. I think
Can't think of any. I can't think of
P20.
anyone else I've missed out.
I think P20 to P18 is pretty much the same as you. So maybe, or maybe the freeze at P20. Um, Sergeant P19 in the Williams. 18th would be oh, Sonoda. Yeah, Sonoda. 2019 18. 17th would be uh I'd say Magnussen, Kevin Magnussen in the house. 16th, um Joe of Alfa Romeo. 15th, I'd say I said Hulkenberg. No, I haven't mentioned Hulkenberg, have I?
Oh, yeah.
Hulkenberg for 15th. Um 14th would be. So what drivers have I got left? 14th to 11th. I've got,
You've got the Alpine, so you've got Ocon and Gasly. You've got you said Magnussen, haven't you?
yeah,
Yeah,
Bottas
so
left, yeah.
Albon, Piastri, Bottas, Norris, Stroll.
Um, all right, P11. So I'm going P11 to 14th. P11, I think Bottas. He will just miss out on the top 10, which is a shame because he's always had a good record up until a couple seasons ago. Um, P12, I'd say Norris. No, no, no. P12, Gasly. I think Norris will get into the top 10. P13, Albon. What I said Albon? Albon P13. And then P14 is. well, whoever I haven't mentioned, that being
Piastri.
Piastri, yeah.
Joe, have you mentioned Joe Guan Yu?
Oh,
I think you mentioned Joe. I think he was
I
16th
think
or
I did.
something.
Maybe like 16th or something. Anyway, I'm not going to go through that again because it's all
We've only got
not
8 minutes
going that.
left.
Yeah. So the British Grand Prix this weekend. Um, I think one thing I'm looking forward to the most is just more someone to challenge Verstappen for the lead at least. If we get if we get Alonso sitting on the front row in qualifying, I want him to literally be breathing down Verstappen's rear wing, if you like. Like just someone challenge Verstappen, you know. Um, so it would be great, and maybe like I would love to see like a three-car battle for I don't know 10th position or something. Something that would be really exciting. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I've just looked up the weather for Silverstone this weekend, and there is a little bit of rain around, not massive amounts. It's just dry out towards the afternoon and evening. Um,
Okay.
yeah, maybe if there is a wet qualifying, then maybe we could see, I don't know, someone like an Albon in the top 10, for example, or a Bottas, again break into that top 10. Um, so yeah, pretty much the same as you, I think. Just want those battles. You want to see people challenging Verstappen really for that race win, like we saw in Austria, that battle between him and Leclerc. Um, Again, you want to see just battles, just overtakes, people sort of fighting for position, like you want to see in pretty much any race, I suppose. Yeah, obviously being British Grand Prix, I know we're biased towards the British drivers and British teams, but if we can see a Russell, a Hamilton, a Norris on the podium, obviously it won't be all three of them on the podium. It'd be
Yeah.
great if it was. Yeah, I think that reminds me, McLaren have got their new chrome
Oh
livery this
yes.
weekend as well. It's all happening. I'm not actually a massive fan of it, to be honest. I prefer their usual livery. Yeah, if McLaren can get into that top five, top six, same again with Alonso. I think he finished sixth in Austria, so I think that's only the second race he's finished outside the top five. So it'd be great to see him back inside those that top five. Um, yeah, as you say, if someone can challenge Verstappen, whether it be Perez, whether it be one of the Ferraris, whether it be Hamilton or Russell, whether it can be Alonso, who knows? If we do get a battle for that race lead, another three-way scrap like we saw with Perez, Leclerc, and Hamilton last year, then that would be brilliant.
Yeah. So well, we've come to the end of another episode of the F1 Stop Show. We had Verstappen picking up another win in Austria. We had amazing on-track battles between Sainz and Perez, and well, yeah, let's hope that we get another exciting race this weekend in Silverstone. So, I've been your host, Sam Oni, and it's a goodbye from me. Bye bye. And say goodbye from Wes.
Bye bye.
And we hope you enjoy the British Grand Prix this weekend.